my name is Sarah Beth, and I just finished reading A Crown of Swords by Robert Jordan. This is book 7 in the Wheel of Time series, and it's about 750 pages long. Okay, so if you're watching this review, I'm going to assume you've seen the other ones and at least have an idea of what's going on, and that I will mispronounce basically all the names for all the things because it's a fantasy novel. So we begin the novel where Rand is essentially, he had just battled against the Shadow Ale and the few Aes Sedai from the tower that were kind of conspiring against him. And he won because he brought on the Ashamen from the Black Tower and they just decimated everybody. And so they had to run back in their boots, quaking. And you basically see throughout this whole novel, Rand is wrestling with his sanity because he's finally able to almost communicate with the Lewis Thurns, the previous dragon's voice within his mind. And you also get a lot more of a romance between Rand and Min because they're just together the entire novel. And Nynaeve and Elaine are in Abu Dar looking for the Bowl of Winds, which is supposed to help the weather. And so they're searching for that. Mat has come with them to save them and bring them back to Rand. And that's kind of where you were left off in the previous novel. And I'm just going to be honest with this one. Those are the main thread lines of the book. Perrin came in for the last novel, but he's basically gone for this one because he gets in a fight with Rand. And I don't even think that's giving too much away because nothing really happens to Perrin. It's very much, this is book 7 out of 14. This is the middle of the road. This is the middle novel. And I almost feel like he was padding for time because of the fact that not a lot happens throughout the book. It's very much, let us just enhance the world as much as we can. There's also a pullback in this novel at the very, very end for something that happened in the previous novel. And I'm like, you expected me to remember the name of the ale woman who went missing in Shadow Ghoul a book ago? Do you know how long these books are? Especially since this was written in 1996, they still had to wait a decent amount of time between these books came out. I'm just surprised at my own memory for remembering this, and I always thought, why didn't it come back within that book? Why did I have to wait a whole full book for it to come back? But the writing is actually really well done. You can tell Robert Jordan was really coming into his own about the time of this novel because his ability to paint the world is just so rich now, and his ability to explain different things. Characters are still a little weak, I'm not gonna lie. I know somebody told me if I reread it, I would know the characters better. I'm still in the thick of it. I'm still starting to know characters. There was a slew of characters supporting Mat. And I forgive me, I'm about to give some spoilers, but they're not important because they die. All right, he's got generals under him. I'm not saying all of them die, so it's not really giving anything away. But I couldn't tell who was who whenever they named people. I'm like, it looks like one of the people that was with Mat, I guess. They don't really have a personality to me because Robert Jordan never really gives them much of a personality. But they die at the end of the book. I'm like, all right, so I guess I really didn't need to know their personality anyway. It's just sometimes he's really good at giving you new characters, and when they matter, you will remember their name. Like, there is an Aes Sedai, Katsuane. Please forgive me, I'm mispronouncing all these names. But she's, like, one of the oldest Aes Sedai ever living. She basically went into retirement, and she's come out to confront Rand because, he might be going crazy, and somebody needs to reel him in. So, essentially, she comes by, and I know exactly who she is. She's painted very vividly as this old woman that will not put up with crap because she's seen way too much of the world. She's like, you can be naked. She even basically says this to Rand. She's like, I will spank you. You can be naked all you want, but you better listen to me. I think that just a sore spot of this novel is definitely, once again, those characters. But yeah, not much really happens in this book. I think that if you're really enjoying the series, go ahead and read it. But I think you could probably skip this and still know what's going on. But it's written really well, so I enjoyed it. I think if you're really enjoying it, please read it. But yeah, if not, and you're just trying to gut through it, maybe SparkNotes is enough. Cause okay, I'm about to give some spoilers here, so stop now if you don't want spoilers. And if you enjoy the series, just go read the book. I hope you enjoyed my review. If not, spoilers are incoming for a book that came out before I was born. Quite frankly. Essentially, this whole book, this is the entire book. Rand is not crazy because Min sees two people. Nynaeve is finally brought together with Lon because he's not dead. He went to one of the green that's in the Rebel Tower. Not much happens to Elaine. She's the Amyrlin, but you really don't see her very much in this novel. Not Elaine, sorry, Egwene, the new Amyrlin. Elaine and Nynaeve, they find the Bowl of Winds. Haven't used it yet, but they finally found it, and they found a group of women. So, at the very beginning of this whole entire series, we're talking book 1, alright? You know that Nynaeve is a wise woman, which are essentially like almost witches, but they're allowed. And this is kind of the circle where the wise women are sent out and created. It's like they call themselves the Knitting Circle. They're the rejects or the wilders from the Aes Sedai. Essentially, the women that couldn't make it in the tower, that didn't pass their tests, and they're kicked out. They go to these women. And the Aes Sedai allow it, and even though the women don't know that the Aes Sedai know they exist, essentially they allow it because, well, they give them the runaways, essentially. They don't know they're giving them away, but they know enough to recover most of the runaways from the tower that didn't fail. So, century-long thing, they're like, oh no, you found us. And now, more Aes Sedai for the army, because of course Nynaeve and Elaine are like, you can come back into the fold of the tower, because Egwene needs more of you. Also, the E names, are you kidding me? And then Rand finally talks to the sea folk, and they bow down before him. They've been waiting in the harbor for maybe 2 books now. I might not have even mentioned them because, once again, they were just waiting in a harbor for 2 books for him to acknowledge their presence. Sea folk, they have their own Aes Sedai, but they're windfinders. I don't know what else to tell you. Avenida has no role in this book whatsoever. She's just there. Same thing with Bridget, which is the warder for Elaine. She just kind of gives Matt some info so that he understands more. I would argue to say this is Matt's novel. You really get a lot of Matt in this novel, which I respect. I love his character. I like it. I enjoyed it all the way. Getting more of a Matt novel. So, once again, enjoyable for me. It's a very enjoyable book, but not a lot happens in 750 pages until the very end, where Rand kills Samuel. And we're like, oh, finally, another Forsaken's killed, even though Moiraine didn't technically kill Mugen. And also, Mugen escapes. That does happen in this book. But, yeah, I think SparkNotes could cover this if you didn't want to read this tome where not a lot happens, but it develops the world, and it's fun. So, hope you enjoyed my review, and have a good one.